Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today I'm going to talk about Married at First Sight season 11 episode 3, I believe. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned. But before we get into things, check out my website lavidarosastyle.com, where you can find cute accessories like the ones I'm wearing right now. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into this video. They really did stretch this episode. I mean, literally the second half was just a bunch of like awkward conversations with family. They could just did a quick montage of all of that. I didn't need to know every single last detail of every one of these weddings, okay? So I'm gonna start with Bennett and Amelia. We are picking up from the cliffhanger where we found out that they met each other before. And you know, you can't really read Bennett and Amelia's expressions because they are just so different. I can't, you know, they're unpredictable. I can't really tell what's going on with them because I don't think I've ever met anyone quite like them before. So when they saw each other, they gave each other like this kind of like awkward hug. So it was like, I know you. Oh, I know you too. It was sort of like that. But Amelia said she met him a while ago at a party and she thought he was cool. And he said he recognized her when he heard her name. I don't think them meeting before this hurt the experiment much at all. And how can you really account for someone randomly, you randomly running into someone, at a party or something like that? There's still limitations to the vetting process, so you really can't make sure someone is 100% a stranger. Because what if you met before, you just don't remember their name? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy because after they hugged each other, they were like really looking at each other longingly in each other's eyes. They were like, it was like a whole like like a dreamy type of look. They were looking at each other lovingly, like as if they, had been together forever. Like they really were very much so. From the beginning, it seemed like, even though it wasn't love at first sight, it was like they already had this, it seemed like they had a bond already. Bennett wrote some really beautiful vows. Like he's, he does theater and I think he writes plays. So he really has a way with words. And she wrote and memorized the poem. And I'm just like, oh, y'all are just entertainers all the way around, because there's no way, with all the nerves I would have getting married to someone I did not know, there's no way I could like memorize anything. Are you crazy? But her poem was cute. After he kissed the bride and they broke the glass bottle, they walked out and they were like talking and mingling with each other. They talked about their first time meeting each other, and he taught her about credit cards. And it turns out that they had a mutual friend, and so they have very similar interests as far as like being musically inclined. And so it turns out that he had seen her one other time. She came to one of his concerts. He seemed to, find her attractive at the time, but he was in a relationship, so, nothing could come of that at the time. It seems like they were just kind of running into each other at the wrong time, and it just so happens that Married at First Sight brought them back together. But you just never know. They might have chosen each other even without this process. I thought that was very interesting. Woody and Amani and Amelia and Bennett have the best chemistry this season. Like, beyond. It's out of this world. She said they have a magical chemistry not explained by science. I'm like, that's an interesting way to put it, but I could definitely see that. What's funny to me is when you looked at Amelia's side of the family, they were all dressed up as if it was a costume party or like a masquerade party. And I'm like, somebody should have told Bennett's side of the family, like they should have gave them that memo, because they were dressed like, they were going to a regular wedding. Like I said last week, I love the bridesmaids and the fact that they had like the multicolored, monochromatic dresses with the fringe veils. But I'm like, girls, if y'all gonna wear the fringe veils, you gotta own it. Don't let it wear you. You have to wear the veil. You know what I'm saying? I would love to have worn that veil, to be honest. I've never seen anything like that, but it's making me think about, I might want a fringe veil at my wedding. They asked him, what does he think about her armpit hair? And he didn't even notice that she had armpit hair, but he said He thinks it's a sign of strength and confidence. So a match made in heaven, because a lot of men would have a huge issue with her having very visible armpit hair, and a lot of women as well. Like a lot of people in my comments, that's pretty much, they're very concerned about both of their hygiene. But you know what, if they like it, fine. I'm gonna shave my armpit hair, but if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. Overall, I feel like both of their families seems to mesh really well. They both know that they, you know, have very quirky, eccentric people that they love, and I just feel like it made it that much easier for them to accept, you know, each other's partners, if that makes sense. Let's move on to Henry and Christina. The cringe. The cringe. You guys, I don't know how I watched that. I literally had to force myself to look at the screen and experience whatever that was. I was in horror. I thought Amelia and Bennett were going to be the most awkward, but Christina and Henry took the cake. So before the wedding, Henry's parents came in to, you know, speak with him or whatever. His dad is the complete opposite of him. Henry is very soft-spoken, like sort of withdrawn. His father is a complete extrovert, loud in your face type of guy. He kind of reminds me of Joey from Friends. Forget about it. He kind of reminds me of that, like with that accent. But his dad says this is completely out of his character, but he's really supportive with the fact that, you know, he's going to be getting married at first sight, marrying a stranger. His dad says he only gets excited over politics and Tom Brady. One thing I immediately noticed with Henry is that he kept looking down. And I'm like, Henry, you need to get your eyes up off the floor. Like, even when he was talking with his own father, he kept looking down, and it just looks like a complete lack of confidence. And I understand he's soft-spoken, he's an introvert or whatever. Growing up, I was very shy and quiet as well, but you have to like stand up, square your shoulders, look people in the eye if you want them to respect you, because if not, people will walk all over you. You don't have to be loud and boisterous, but you need to have a level of confidence to make people respect you, because if they don't respect you, they'll treat you any kind of way. And so I just feel like that is the catalyst to a lot of things that happen later on in this episode that I'm gonna get to. But I'm just like, you know, stand up, square your shoulders, look people in the eye. Like, I just wanted to pump some sort of confidence in him. Stand up. You don't have to look down. You know what I'm saying? From the absolute beginning, I felt like she was gonna walk all over him because of that. So when we get to Christina, she seems super confident. Her dress was really, really pretty, but her bridesmaids' dresses were atrocious. Like, what was that? A thing that kind of hit me the wrong way was that she said her ideas of love and marriage came from TV. She didn't really have a real life example of a healthy marriage, so she's just going based off what she's seen on TV. And I'm just like, that is so unrealistic. So unrealistic. Marriage is not like what you see on movies and TV. And I can relate in a way, because while I saw many marriages, like healthy marriages, long-lasting marriages, from afar, like in my church, I would see it like every Sunday, every Wednesday. I didn't grow up in a house seeing marriage up close and personal. I think for a while, like Christina, I romanticized what I thought a marriage would be. And come to find out, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Good marriages take work, and you know, you're going to have your arguments, you're gonna have, you know, those times where you don't get along. But when you don't grow up with that, you don't get to see it in action. And so I think a lot of people that didn't grow up that in their household, we we just automatically think it's supposed to be one thing when it's actually another. And even though it's not your idealized version, it could still be a very beautiful thing. But I think you have to take that preconceived notion that you have out of it, or you're going to be disappointed every single time, because that's just not real life. She has this big thing about flowers, and I think that's like a part of, you know, what she thinks a great relationship should be. A man gives me flowers, like that's your quintessential, you know, knight in shining armor thing, like a man getting you flowers. I think that's why she harps so hard on that. So when Henry sent her flowers as like a gift, I think that really, you know, she got really emotional about that, because that's one of the main things that she said she wanted, even though it's just flowers. But you know what? It meant a lot to her. She was acting very diva-ish, very Bridezilla-ish right before she walked out. She's snapping at her mom. Her mom's just trying to fix her train and her, you know, veil. And she snapped at her, like, leave it alone. Like, I'm like... And she was kind of snapping at her bridesmaid. She was snapping at production. Production just wanted like a little video right before you walk out, and she just had a whole attitude about that. She was kind of reminding me of Brandon from last season a little bit. I'm just like, girl, you freaking out for no reason. Why are you going off on these people that's just trying to document your experience? You decided to sign up for this. When she finally did walk out, her veil got caught up in the door, and I'm like, see, God don't like ugly. God don't like ugly. That's what you get for being nasty to your mama. She was trying to fix your veil behind the scenes, but now I got caught up in the door. That's what you get. Anyway, when she, you know, walked down the aisle, man, it was so cringy. This was like one of the most cringiest weddings, because he could barely look at her. He's already someone who can't make eye contact, so oh my goodness, that was so, it was literally cringy, so cringy. It was so unbearable. I didn't know what to do. Like, like the ceremony itself was the hardest part to watch. Oh my goodness, I was so thrown off by it. I literally had to, like I said in the beginning, I had to force myself to watch it. It was so hard to watch. I had to take a couple of breaks. It was too much. If I didn't review this show, I would have just skipped over that, because that was just too much for me. It was too much. His vows were less than romantic. I mean, he was just talking about like the things he said he wanted to do for her. It almost sounded like he was gonna be like her personal assistant or something. Like, it just wasn't romantic. Like, when it came down to the kiss, she kissed him first. She took the lead. Like, she kissed him first, and I'm like, wow, I just really feel like this is gonna set the tone for their entire marriage, because once they left the ceremony and they were alone with each other, she initiated a conversation. She took the lead in the conversation. It came out that she was an only child. I'm like, Lord, she finna give us a bad name. They already view us in a certain light, so we really about to get a bad name with Christina. I feel it. So she said he's really shy and awkward, and he needs to learn how to make a move. She also said she's very impatient, as you can tell, and he needs to loosen up. I feel like she's very pushy. Like, yeah, he does. I agree. He does need to loosen up, and he does need to, like, you know, shake off whatever nerves, because he was just, it was too much. It was too, he should have been able to loosen up a little bit more with them, it just being them two. But she's very pushy as well. So when he was trying to tell her about his friends, like point out his friends, she completely stopped the conversation to say she forgot I forgot my earrings. Oh my goodness, mom, let me put on your earrings. Like, that came off very superficial. You're going to interrupt his entire conversation trying to talk about his friends to bring up your earrings. That could have waited. And then she started to talk about her ex. She said she's only 5 months out of a 5-year relationship. And that concerned me, because I'm like, one, if you're 5 months out, I'm sure you had to apply at least 2 or 3 months ago. So you're not really over this guy. You cannot possibly be already over this guy after 5 years. And two, it kind of seems like you signed up for this to kind of get a rebound husband like Katie did last season. I kind of feel like she is like trying to get back at him for whatever happened in their relationship with a rebound husband. It feels that way. Like it's kind of like you're rubbing it in your ex's face like, I got a husband, and so because of that, she's trying to force chemistry where there is none. It doesn't seem like y'all have any chemistry at all. But on top of that, how can there be a chemistry? Henry can barely get out full sentences. Like he'll start a sentence and won't finish it, or take forever to like get to the point. I'm like, Henry, you need to gather your thoughts together a little bit quicker, because y'all are getting to know each other on the fly, so you need to be able to communicate better. I have no words, y'all. I don't even know what to say about that. And then comes Trishelle. And I'm like, where did they find Trishelle? For those who don't know, Trishelle, his friend, I think she had on a pink dress, the blonde. She was on The Real World a long time ago. Now, I never watched her season, but I remember seeing her on The Challenge and shows like that, and always being a drunk mess. Like, that's what she's known for, being a drunk mess. I cannot believe I was watching Trishelle. The same Trishelle from The Real World. I just cannot believe that. I feel like his friends were very rude and disrespectful in front of their faces and behind their back on camera. I did not appreciate it. If it were me, his friends would have to go, or I'm leaving, because they are too disrespectful. First of all, Trishelle said she met him on a bad date, and you know, they didn't hit it off, and she was like, well, do you have any friends that I could be friends with? So how you gonna go from a bad date where you don't like this man like that, and then befriend his friends, so now he gotta see you all the time? It don't even seem like Henry really want to be friends with Trishelle like that, but he just doesn't have enough courage to like not be. You know what I'm saying? Like, it seemed like he wasn't okay with her even addressing his wife the way she was, which she was being a little bit, she was doing a little bit too much. And then his other friend, I forgot her name, but she said she's not gonna welcome some girl she don't know as his wife. She said she don't look at them as married. And she said she's very judgmental of a woman who would sign up for something like this. Well, how do you feel about Henry? Like, does it make a difference that a woman, I would think it would be more weird for a man to sign up for something like this than a woman, because men have more options. And they said outright that they have no respect for the relationship. But in their face, they're like, oh, you know, just being very nice, nasty, and fake. And Trishelle kept on hugging Christina. Oh, yeah, he's fine. He looks good. Why you keep saying that to someone who he just married? So they get through that awkward reception, and they get to the room, and it's even more awkward than it ever was. Henry is literally on hush mouth. Y'all have everything to talk about right now. Y'all have every single thing to talk about. Literally, y'all have to get to know each other. There is no room for you to be quiet. There's no room for you to be shy. There is no room for you to just be sitting on the bed and like, playing with flowers. There's no room for that, period. It was too quiet. It was too awkward. I could not. I couldn't. I just don't see this working based off the fact that she is very dominant, and she seems to need someone who is just as, if not more dominant than her, because I just feel like she's gonna walk all over Henry. I'm sorry. Let's move on to Karen and Miles. She had him guess her age, and he pretty much guessed right. She's 30 and he's 26. He asked her, was age a factor for her, and she said maturity is the factor. He was talking with her mom, and her mom made it well known that she is not on board with this, but you know, she kind of like has no choice but to be at this point. She's very concerned about his intentions, and he said he wants her to feel heard and seen and comfortable, and he's in it for the long haul. When is the last time you ever heard a man say they want their wife to be heard? and seen. I don't know if he wants her to be heard. He cares for her to be seen. That's different. I don't even think someone who is not serious could even come up with saying something like that. So her mom gave him the advice of not to pressure her because she will shut down. I could definitely see that. I could definitely see that. So she went and met with his parents, and they also said that they were shocked that he would do something like this. He's done everything else by the book. His father said he'll not only protect you physically, but he'll protect your heart. I can totally see that. His mom said he's a mama's boy and that he calls twice a day, and the daddy was like, not trying to scare her, like, he gonna have to stop all that. And I'm just like, boy, I mean, I love that he loves his mom, but you know, as long as she not like in our relationship, you know what I'm saying? And then they were like telling all his business, talking about how he's not neat, and it turns out that she is kind of neat. And I'm just like, stop telling this girl all this stuff. She already nervous. It's me on the SC, man. Like, why are you doing it right now? The mama was telling all the business. I just felt like y'all need to leave a little bit to the imagination. Let him tell us some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Some of these family members were doing a little too much. So after the reception, they go to their room, and it turns out she's attracted to her husband. Are you now? You're attracted to him, you say. Oh. See, this is why you should not have access to social media, because I feel like, because I'm this way, I can look at someone and be like, oh, he's all right. But if his personality is somebody that I am attracted to, it doesn't matter. You know, the looks is more so secondary. I feel like that is the case for a lot of women. Like, we can overlook like physical looks if he hits every other notch, or majority of them, we can deal. And so that's why I was upset when she was given his information to look up, because see there, now you attracted to him because you like his personality. That's all I was saying. Like, you know, he deserved more of a chance than just looking at the social media, because some men don't even know how to take good pictures. I'm gonna tell you that right now. They be taking pictures all low, making themselves look bigger than what they actually are, getting the worst angles possible. You know what I'm saying? Women tend to be better at curating their social media, so I just don't think it's a fair thing to judge him off of. But she was attracted to him by the end of the night, and I was like, interesting. I knew it. I knew that's the way it would happen. But you know, by the end of the night, she had him rubbing her feet. I was like, okay. I hate feet, so it couldn't be me. Like, as far as, I wouldn't even want anyone else touching my feet. But you know, that's cute for y'all. I knew she was gonna come around. I knew she was gonna come around. Let's move on to Olivia and Brett. And y'all, I feel just like this lady right here to all these quote unquote jokes. From him and his family. He has 3 brothers. So she went over and was talking to them about Brett, and they were just saying how he's very sarcastic. Once you get his sense of humor, it'll be nonstop, and the family has that same sense of humor. And I'm just like, y'all are not funny. What sense of humor? It's all corny and unfunny. It's not. You're not entertaining the way you think you are. I think the only useful thing that they said is that he bottles his feelings, and I feel like that could be a problem in the long run, because if you have all this false vibrato and you're not willing to break down and be vulnerable, I don't know how your marriage can be successful if you take everything for a joke and sarcasm. That gets old quick. And then they had the nerve to say they just relieved that they didn't date her, they didn't know her in that sense of swiping left on Tinder. And I'm just like, I'm just looking at all of them, every single last one of them. I'm looking at them like, you didn't have to be worried. You did not have to be worried about that. You had nothing to worry about. He had a very awkward conversation with her bridesmaids. And I'm just like, can you please take this serious for 0.5 seconds? Okay, but you know, it worked out fine. They seemed to have a great time at the reception. So when they got to their room, she said she's attracted to him, he's attracted to her, anything can happen. So their segments on this episode really irritated me because of Brett and his brothers. Finally, Woody and Amani. It's like a fairy tale, y'all. They just are so cute together. Woody met with her dad and stepfather, and they had like an awesome conversation. Woody spoke on the fact that he didn't have his dad. I believe his dad is incarcerated. So he felt like those two could step in, and I thought that was like a beautiful like notion that he didn't have a father, but now that he's married to someone that has father figures, they can come in and, you know, be that for him. That was beautiful. And that's what I feel like, that's what, you know, meshing your families, I feel like that's what that is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? When you come together as one, their family is your family, and the fact that they're willing to come in and step in and be that for him, I thought that was beautiful. I could have just teared up then when I watched it. I could have teared up just now, because I think that's really what it's all about when you get married, you know, embracing each other. And you could just really see how genuine that interaction was, as well as her interaction with his groomsmen. They were just saying that he's very clean and neat, but he takes forever to get ready. I could see that with him. He seemed like he would just be in the mirror like, wait, let me get that. Oh, yeah, that's the one. That's, I could see him doing that. They say he changes like 15 times before he leave the house, child. Look, I need the bathroom. Now, if you have another bathroom to go use, that's fine. But I need this. Why are you taking all this time? You're taking up my precious time. I have to apply my makeup, do my hair, get my clothes together. But you know what? Maybe that's not a problem for Amani. Them dancing on the way out of their reception was the cutest, funniest thing. Woody was acting a whole fool out here. It was so funny. I'm just excited to see all of these couples, but really Amani and Woody and Bennett and Amelia. I'm really excited to see those two couples over the course of time. And I really don't have any hope for Christina and Henry. I don't. I hope they prove me wrong, but I don't. But anyway, you guys, y'all let me know what you think down below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? I would love to hear your opinion. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.